Dad Pod.
This is a video thing as well.
Doesn't have a name.
Podcast.
Midlife crisis.
Paddy Daddy.
Midlife crisis.
Dadcast.
That's not bad, actually.
Dadcast with Nivea Men. Try Ireland's #1 skincare brand.
All right, we're welcome along to episode 3 of season 3. Good things come in 3. It's a magic number, and I have 3 colleagues here today. One of them has the label off the ball. That's you, Adrian Barry. How are you?
Good. Season 3. Fair play to you. I don't know where you're pulling that one from, but that's is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's literally says season 3, episode 3 on the podcasts that I'm
Oh,
sure you're
super.
subscribed to and downloading and
Absolutely.
listening.
Yeah.
Dave McIntyre, how are you?
Howdy.
And last but not least, Nathan Murphy, how are you?
I'm okay.
Are you not sick, pet? Were you not just complaining loudly?
I
about
was
being sick?
sorry, but I like
Yeah.
to moan to ye, and then when I appear on air, it's showbiz, baby. It's like the adrenaline rush kicks in, and I'm just fine for the next hour. Yeah. I don't know what I went heavy on the Nurofen this morning, and when you go heavy on the Nurofen and you have that nice sweet spot of 2 hours where you're like, actually, I'm not sick at all. I'm fine.
I know.
Perfectly fine. And then 15
It's a
minutes
wonder
ago, I'm
drug.
like, oh, my throat is killing me, and I just want to go to bed, and I'm tired. But I've doubled down on the Nurofen, and away we go.
Okay, rather than giving you an opportunity to complain about the mild variant of man flu that you have, I thought there was actually a specific relevant bit to the Dadcast.
Well.
How did you get sick, Nathan?
That is relevant. Well, we've had about a week ago, we had all 3 of them off, sort of doing the whole 2 days each. Now, they're all at that good age where they remarkably get over. And then one of them gave it to my wife. So she now has a particularly bad case, far worse than what I have. She's got a proper full-on chest infection, steroids, the whole lot. But I was in bed the other night, and she was coughing and spluttering away. So I did the obvious thing and made sure I was fully turned over the other side so I could ignore this. And unbeknownst to myself, mid-sleep, I must have switched back the other way. She had switched back, so we were face to face. And at about 3 a.m., I woke up with a shock. I was obviously asleep, as you can imagine, with to a full cough. I mean, a full coughing fit straight into my face.
I thought it was
I
one
was
of the
like-
kids who did it. Sorry.
No,
I didn't
Me
realize
too.
you were.
no, it was my wife.
I really wasn't sure where that story was going.
It was her wife who's going to
So-
thank you when she hears this episode.
Well, I haven't told her. As of yet, so she will be in for quite a shock. I didn't want to wake her and give out about it at the time, because that wouldn't be a very loving thing to do, would it? If she's ill, it's hardly her fault. Though I wasn't particularly happy about it.
And your tone
would you not
suggests that
just-
it's very much your fault.
Would you not sleep in the spare room?
Well, so we're just having it's like one calamity after another in this house at the moment. Our car is completely banjaxed, available for a free fix. That's going to cost us quite a bit to get fixed. And so we were carless for the weekend. So fair play to my mother-in-law. She came over to lend us her car so we could get all the kids to all their sport. It was eventually cancelled, which is another bloody story. So there was no spare room either. So I was stuck there. Also, it is an awkward one, because if you're sick, it's acceptable, I think, for you to say, I'll just go into the spare room. But is it acceptable? Unless, well, I suppose it is. It's not the greatest.
What?
Is it acceptable for you to say I'm going to the spare room because I can't sleep in?
Yeah.
You're looking out for her. You're looking out for her well-being. You're saying, listen, love, you get a good night's rest. You need it. I'll get out of your hair.
Okay, I should have done that, obviously, but I couldn't. So here I am.
Right. I don't know why you had to think about that. The is it acceptable thing. That's
I don't know. I
obviously
just never
it's
do it.
acceptable. Right.
The sport being cancelled thing, could we touch on that for a second? I'm going to give away my innermost thoughts on this by the question that I ask. What's everybody's feeling about it's a little bit cold and it's a small bit wet, let's not go training stuff?
I'm fully down. I'm fully down with the kids. And it's a little bit
Well,
cold.
it
Let's not go
depends.
training.
It depends on the general mood. So we called off GA last Monday because at 5 o'clock it was absolutely torrential rain and it was 0 degrees and there was nobody's going to enjoy this at all. So let's pull it. But then So there's a couple of issues. One is that obviously there's a shortage of pitches, so you end up losing a lot of the council's pitches, and the second it starts raining, pull it because they don't want the pitches getting destroyed, which means the GAA on a Saturday time and time again gets called off. The DDSL pulled all their games, I think, on Thursday morning. And there it was Sunday morning, the most beautiful Sunday morning. Not even any snow in the mountains anymore. And all the games are off. It's like, come on. They were obviously trying to get ahead of it and thinking, we don't want to be there on Saturday night or Sunday morning last thing. But bloody hell. Come on.
They could move soccer to a summer season. That might be a solution to all of the problems, eh?
Well, exactly.
I think for a lot of the parents, they're delighted when they get the message, no training tonight. Coaches would probably prefer to be out there, but particularly with something like hurling, for example, where we find you just cannot spend enough time on the pitch with them because there's so much improvement that needs to be made at that really young age. And also, you do want to take into account what age the kids are. If it's Ogre or at the academy for the local soccer club, for example, and you know it's going to lash rain for 90 minutes, you're better off not having the 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds on the field because they may not come back. They may be scarred. They may, the following week, even if the sun is out, not want to ever return to Ogre or the academy. But I think once they're 7 or 8, they have to harden up and you have to get them used to training and playing in all sorts of conditions.
Do they have to harden up at 7 or 8?
That's like they have to learn how to lose.
Yeah. Are you like
why do they have to learn how to lose?
Romanian.
Well, whether they have to learn how to lose or not,
coaches.
they do learn how to lose very early because there's a lot of losing that is done at that age.
Not Adrian's club.
We're not talking like Eastern Europe communist bloc type trading, Ger.
Feels a little bit like it.
Dave.
You can't have a child deciding or not wanting to play because it's got a little bit cold or a little bit wet. Because they're supposed to be playing matches every Saturday, and some days it will be cold and it will be wet. Get on with it.
I know, but like it's better when it's sunny and springtime and summer, and they're more likely to come back. I think the key issue is like, is this going to be so miserable that they'll be like, I ain't doing this anymore. It's too miserable.
I'm getting the impression this is you talking and not the children.
Well, the question was like, how do we feel? Yes, I do feel, especially when it's kind of touch and go, when it's already a bit of a battle to get them out, that certainly there's also sometimes when you're pretty relieved that there's actually nothing to do. There was an under-remarked point during COVID where we swore we'd never go back to having stuff on every night. Now we've literally got stuff on every night, where I was like, this is kind of amazing. We get to spend time with each other. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, but like some kind of balance, I thought. And last weekend was a nice little oasis of tranquility in a sea of chaos.
But that was such an unrealistic balance because there was no FOMO. You knew there was not something going on elsewhere that your kids were losing out on. You knew there was no choice, no alternative. And you also knew that, fingers crossed, touch wood, there was a finite amount of time involved here. So you kind of embraced it and we reveled in it. And we did enjoy the fact that we weren't constantly in a hurry and that we had nowhere else to be every evening of the week. But that's all changed now. You could still make the choice if you wanted, for you and for your kids, to do nothing and just stay in every evening.
It's training, isn't it? I don't mind going to matches in the piss and rain, sideways snow. It doesn't matter. It's training is always a stress because there's this constant rush of getting home. 2 of them have different things on in the same evening. They've got 3 hours in homework to do. And there's just a row constantly trying to get them out the door. Well, there certainly is here as I lose my shit constantly of, why haven't you got your shin guards on? What do you mean you don't have your gloves? Why don't you have a hat on? It's like, oh my God. But the sports, more and more I feel these sports should be 12 months a year. It makes absolutely no sense that both GAA and soccer, which are obviously the 2 main sports, rugby people get in touch angrily if you want. I'm sure rugby's probably the same. Why we break in, like, I think the last goal
because people are gone.
matches, but doesn't matter. Just keep running and people miss the odd game here and there.
Yeah.
Like, there was a spell. Down where we are. We're in a public park, which meant over Christmas there was weeks and weeks and weeks of just games being cancelled at a time which is meant to be their peak season. Just run through the summer and keep going with the games. And if players miss out, like the entire reason they ended up changing was because the top clubs couldn't play a match if their best player wasn't there for one single week. It would be an outrage. Just go 12 months a year. Let whoever wants to turn up.
Yeah, that's what I think about That's exactly what
But
I
it's not
think
about winning.
About the training in the shitty conditions question. Like there'll be a whole group of kids and parents, presume, who are mad keen to go out in the rain, including the kids who are like mad for it, and then there'll be a pile who won't, and like let them turn up a train.
I think the key thing is the quality of the pitches, right? Like I think most Astros would be fine. Probably there might be a slippiness issue and an injury issue, but I think that if you've got a pitch that has bad drainage, at the first hint of rain, you've got to cancel it because then the pitch is ruined for 6 months. That's the main thing, I think.
There's a
that's
bigger
different
question
argument
there about facilities, which is, and I'm sure this is the case in every part of Dublin, like there's 3 or 4 clubs on one public park, a massive public park that much of 15 or 16 pitches. But that is hundreds of kids every Saturday and Sunday who don't get a match if there's a bit of rain on a Thursday and Friday. And I understand completely that those who run it probably look and go, well, if we have these matches for one weekend, it ruins the pitch for the next 6 months. But there needs to be an alternative that games can go ahead. There needs to be an investment. There needs to be all of that. Now, this is very much turning into an off-the-ball episode than a Dadcast episode. But yeah, go back to summer football, summer GAA, absolutely everything. And just keep it running all year long.
The alternative is that during the summer months when there may not be GA or soccer on, at least you can get out and about with the kids all evening and have them out till 8 or 9 in the evening. You don't have to worry about school the following morning. If there was football or the GA wasn't on during the winter, and we'd be stuck inside staring at each other, that's worse. That's far worse.
Oh, well, last weekend was just a constant row, a different kind of row from the one of Where's Your Shin Guards of, we're going outside. No. Whereas this is just an automatic thing that they get up on a Saturday and Sunday morning, they get their kid on, they go, they play. And at least by the time you get home by 12:30 or 1 o'clock, they've been out for 2 or 3 hours. And if the weather's crap, then you don't feel guilty about letting them sit down inside and wreck my head with Fortnite. Do your kids play Fortnite?
They've
No.
dabbled in it. It's more
Dabbled.
Minecraft and Buildcraft. And all that
So
kind
they're
of stuff.
just heading towards Fortnite. Yeah, mine were 18 months ago. They were all about the Minecraft. And I thought maybe they're just going to skip the Fortnite thing. It's not for them. But no, it turns out it's very much for them. That's a whole other episode.
Is this because accidentally there was a breach of ranks and somehow what's not Fortnite, the other one you just mentioned, Minecraft is now on a tablet, but apparently it's shite on tablet. It's kind of pointless, like seems to be too difficult. So I'm not encouraging a deeper understanding or investigating what might or not. I'm just like ignoring this. But certainly the slow, steady drip of gaming is coming into the house, and I don't know what to do about it.
You can't really, there's no stopping it. It's like water. It'll find a way through whatever gap happens to be there. And if there's a gap in your children's spare time, it's almost impossible to stop it being filled by gaming if they're starting to edge down that road. All you can do is manage it. And you just have to put rules and regulations and limitations that are very clear in from the very beginning.
How long are we doing this podcast?
Seriously, it works though. It does
And then
work.
if that doesn't work, get your black sacks out and fill them up.
Ew.
Well, just put the game console in. Don't even need to fill it. A tiny black sack will do. No, we
Also, the problem is you're like, I invested how much in this, and now I'm dumping it.
We got our 6-year-old started watching Minecraft on YouTube. Like, if he's given his choice, he'd watch YouTube Minecraft, which is just gibberish. Like, I don't understand it. It's absolute gibberish. So that's his gateway. That's the leak of water.
He's watching Preston, is he?
Huh?
He's watching Preston.
I have no idea who he's watching.
seen a lot of
find out who he's
Preston
watching.
House.
Middlesbrough against Preston. That was the leak of water. And then
That's the most old man comment you've ever made.
Well, I was brushing over. That was the leak of water. And then his mate got the little Minecraft device, little sort of console. So he's like 5 doors around the corner, and at every
You really do
opportunity,
sound so old. His
Me?
little Minecraft device. You're
whatever
obviously
it's called.
talking about a Nintendo Switch or something, are you?
I have no idea what it is. It's like the size of this. It's like the size of this.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what a Nintendo Switch is.
Right,
There
well,
were
it's just-
consoles when we were kids, Adrian.
There
right?
were.
There were Sega
I-
Mega Drives. And
I had a
Just the new
ZX
Game
Spectrum.
Boy.
I just said expect
Game Boy. The Game Boy was the precursor for the Switch, wasn't it? It was Nintendo as well.
Yeah, that's like 35 years ago. You're talking like a man who is still living in the pre-internet age.
No. Look, I hear you, Dave. I hear you. You're insulting me, and I'm okay with that.
He is, but it's correct though.
No, it is. It's totally. I can't argue. But so they'll be they're sort of at the stage now where like they'll be around our place, and they'll be like, oh, we just go back to my gaff, and oh, we're just going to go around to his gaff, and they're going around for gaming, and that's the leak becomes the tap becomes like he was asking about it in the car the other day, Saturday morning, as we were going around trying to fill time because it was our training. When can I get Minecraft? When can I get Minecraft? When can I get Minecraft? And I'm like, listen, you're not getting it for at least another year. And if you're going to be getting upset about it every time because you ain't getting it. So if you're going to get upset about it every time you ask, there's going to be a lot of upset. So the best thing you can do is just forget about that shit for now. And obviously that works.
Yeah, I was going to say. So next week on next episode, Adrian's battles with the arrival of Minecraft into the house.
Yeah. More meltdowns. But it is, I think,
do you remember the ecosystem around it, isn't it?
Huh?
The ecosystem around the gaming is as big a problem nearly.
Yeah.
Because my kids, I'm sure, are similar here in that they don't watch any TV. And now my eldest two, won't watch Netflix even or anything on that. All they want to watch is YouTube. So, and all they want to watch on YouTube are some lads sitting there playing Fortnite and showing them all the money that they spend.
Shoot them up.
It sort of is, yeah. There's all sorts
no,
of
sorry. Whoa.
Is it not like blowing people up and chasing them across the desert and then winning a war?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things that go on.
If I'm getting, I was about to use the F word there. If I'm getting all sorts of CHIT for like mentioning about a console, and Jura's going, is Fortnite not shoot 'em up? Like, come on.
That shoot 'em up is a legitimate term.
It's like that is man.
It is. So we kind of held off in that our difficulty is not so much the eldest, who is one of the younger ones in his class, and he says, in fact, because he generally plays with kids in his younger brother's class, because I think the kids in his class have moved on to something else now, but he was so late getting to Fortnite. But the problem is then the second he got into Fortnite, the younger brother, who's 15 months younger, was suddenly into it. And there's why can he sit here and play? And what am I going to do while he's sitting here playing this for an hour on a Saturday? I was like, well, you go and play it as well then. But it's all, so there was a new season out last week in Fortnite or something, and they were very excited about this at 7:30 on Thursday morning, and we need to download this, and then they're chatting about it in the car for the full 25 minutes into school, and then on the way home what they're going to do, and they've arranged with all their friends. And now I'm spinning it in a positive way of, they've got their headsets on and they're talking to their 5 friends after school, and they're having, they're connecting with people. Otherwise they'd be just left out of this, and they wouldn't be able to see them from day to day. What would they talk about? But
yeah, I suppose they'd go out the back garden and play football, right?
Do they do that? Do your kid? This is the beautiful world I imagine of, if we were to switch it off, why don't we just kick them out the front door and say, out there and come back in 2 hours, and I don't care if you have nothing to do, just sit in the wall and be bored. But it's like they've had 11 years of not having to do that. So what? Like, they will go out, in fairness, they go out all the time and play football for if their friends are here and the neighbors are around and the weather's nice. Maybe it's just because this time of the year the weather's so crap that they're spending far more time indoors, to the extent again where you're sort of going, I'm like, well, them playing each other in FIFA doesn't even nearly count as screen time, because they're just, at least they're happy out together.
How much screen time, how much gaming time do you give your kids?
An hour
a day,
pretty much. Yeah.
Sure.
We try and have no screen time during the week.
At all, like not TV or?
Well, my eldest needs the laptop for homework, and then as a treat for getting the homework done, she can have the laptop for a while on Thursdays. But we've got this far with the no screen time during the week, and it's working.
What about you, Dave?
We have a 6 p.m. limit on all screens Monday to Thursday, so they can watch TV from 6 to 7:30 Monday to Thursday, but they're not allowed to touch their devices. No switches, no Kindles, no nothing. And then, so basically they know that they don't ask for any of that until 6 o'clock on a Friday. Then on a Saturday and Sunday, we tend to loosen the reins
Oh,
a
yeah.
bit, and they can have a bit of crack then and do whatever they want to. Often my older guy would have kids over, friends over, and they're playing FIFA inside. And I agree with Nathan. I don't even consider that screen time. They are having serious crack, and it's constant, non-stop interaction. They're learning about footballers. They're learning about tactics. They're learning about the sort of goals that are being scored.
They're doing
actually
mock commentaries.
they literally are doing mock commentaries. And if they spend 3 or 4 hours in front of a big 32-inch or 40-inch screen playing FIFA on the Switch, doesn't bother me at all. If their mates are with them and they're having
Matters,
fun,
Dave.
it's the looking at the YouTube videos that I just
Come here. Do they ever pretend to be Nathan, or is it always you that they're pretending to be?
I find
They
my
never-
kids. I don't know about you, Dave. It's not so much commentary, so they're not trying to be Dave McIntyre or Martin Tyler or any of the greats. It's Premier League years. I think of it. They watch so much. They watch a lot of Premier League years, which is good for. Again, it's educational, isn't it? Watching back the 96, 97 Premier League years and asking who Eric Cantona was and was he any good? This is all part of their education. But is it Georgie? What's her name? Who does used to the voiceover? Who worked in Sky?
Georgie Bingham.
Not Georgie Bingham. Georgie Thompson, was it?
Yeah.
Went off and got married and changed her name. I wonder, Georgie.
Went off
Georgie
and got married and changed her name.
Well, then you forget. I couldn't remember what her married name was. But Georgie had a very specific way. Oh, she was going out with one of Ant and Dec, yeah.
Oh, they broke up.
So she had a very specific way of talking on Premier League years that then filtered down into the way the lads spoke about football. So they'd be watching and they'd come in to be 5 minutes left and they go, "Ooh, I wonder will there be late drama here?"
Well, my youngest, he's only 6. He's hilarious. A couple of days a week, including today, between the 1:40 collection time for him and the 2:30 collection time for his brother, we just go into, if the weather's okay, and it's grand out there at the moment, we just go into the park that's across from the school with a ball. And we aren't allowed play one-on-one unless I'm commentating. And
oh no.
And it's trying at times.
You're like, really hope no one sees me here practicing my commentary for the weekend.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody walking past.
He's
Michael Owen-esque.
I throw the ball out to him. I throw the ball out to him, and he's like, right, what I'm going to do, Dad, is I'm going to pretend to beat somebody, and I'm going to stick it in the bottom corner. I'm like, grand. Throw the ball out to him. Off you go. He's like, where's the commentary? I'm not doing it until there's commentary. And I literally have to say, oh, here comes Adam McIntyre. Oh, that's a brilliant move. Takes it on his left foot. Bottom corner. What a goal. And then he wheels off the celebration. And you're right, Chair.
There must be the keeper.
There must be people looking at this idiot.
Oh, brilliant.
A, they know that I'm a commentator, which makes me sound like an even bigger idiot. Or B, they don't know who I am, and I still sound like an absolute nut.
Oh, no, it's
better.
voice recognition straight away. It's like, hey, hang on a second, that's that guy. Oh my God, he's commenting on his son.
Yeah.
The poor kid.
What a loser.
Tiger parenting.
That kid is ruined.
Like, it's only when you think, because we know you, Dave, and don't treat you with enough respect. You just have to think of, imagine if you were in the park 20 years ago and Ryle Nugent was sitting there doing commentary with his son as to why you would still be talking about it now.
And we obviously know Ryle from this whole Tommy Bow. My son, he has to be a player. So I'm not saying like, here comes that Adam McIntyre. I'm like saying, here's Messi. Oh, it's Messi. And I have to always do the commentary of, the goal that he scored for Barcelona where he took the ball from his own half. And I was like, Messi. I don't know how my reputation isn't already in tatters or whatever was left of it prior to these episodes. I don't know how it remains intact.
That is a very sweet image that you've got over there, Dave. It's going to be very popular with the mammies who listen to this.
Well, if they want to get a little bit the live show later, it's going to be happening in about an hour's time.
Well, Dave, ladies in North Dublin to whatever park you'll be in.
Line up, ladies.
Joe.
There's nothing I can't commentate on.
Wow.
Okay.
Move on.
Some quick correspondence from Paddy. Says, I have a 2-year-old girl and another baby girl due in mid-April. I only found your pod during the summer. Listened to all your pods over a few months. I'm delighted to see they're back, as I've loved listening to it on my breaks in the house to walk the dog or do the shopping. I still use Nathan's croissant trick in shops. Keep it up. New listeners, Nathan, remind us of the croissant trick. I mean, some people might call it a trick. Some people will call it theft. But either way.
Yeah, has anybody? There's little or no evidence left by the end of it, so it's going to be hard to prove.
It's a croissant. It's literally the messiest baked goods on the planet. Of course there's evidence. It's all over your kid's top. It's probably all over every other item of grocery in the trolley.
The key is you have to buy something else from a similar stand, so it could just get mixed in. Yeah, so I don't find myself doing the shopping as much anymore, which as we've previously established, was a nice 90 minutes of your week of quiet time. So yeah, when I was shopping with my younger kids, obviously the croissant section is pretty much always at the front door. So to keep them happy, you give them the croissant, which keeps them going while you're trekking around the shop, keeps them quiet. But then obviously by the time you get to pay, the croissant is gone. So there's nothing to pay for. I sort of justify it as it's my own points. They're Super Value points or Aldi points or Tesco points. That's sort of what that is.
That's just your way of accommodating your theft.
Well,
it's stealing.
It's not necessarily stealing. It's more that the child has just removed the thing that I would have liked to have paid for.
It's also like a trade-off where a calm child in the store is more valuable to the store than this piece of baked goods.
I think I'm onto something here.
Kids go free.
You're saying, Kate, they should be handing out croissants at the entrance themselves, actually.
There's a wheel that you can spin in the Super Value in Colester and take a free piece of fruit if you're a kid.
So they're queuing up for that?
Well, I mean, that's obviously not
boring.
It's not quite the same. Well, there is like a spin a wheel and you get something, and then like it's,
gateway.
Oh yeah, I thought about that. Right, there was another one there. Which didn't.
Anyways, I don't do that anymore ever.
Yeah, you don't do that because now
that was a one-off. It was a one-off.
And would you care to power rank the respective bakeries of the supermarkets of Ireland?
No, absolutely not. No.
Would you apply the same liberal approach to like bar of chocolate, let's say?
No, but I think you did once upon a time. Am I right in saying that?
Don't think so.
No, I would. No. It's
go on.
No, it's baked goods only.
That would be theft, but be
theft.
A baked good is absolutely fine. Where does your what? So I don't know.
This felt like a lot more fun when I spoke about it 3 years ago. Now in hindsight, I'm like, actually, it doesn't reflect very well on me.
If your wife is with you, what would you say?
Cough.
I don't know. Yeah, she's too busy coughing in my face. Yeah, she'd probably want to pay for it. But you see, I think I would have bought. I'm going to justify and say I think I would have bought 4 of them, and there's usually a deal. So really, you're not saving, and then there's only 3 left.
Okay.
You're not saving.
Okay.
You're not saving as much.
That's not stealing at all. It's like you pay for the 4. It's fine. Yeah. Great to have you back, lads. Says Finbar O'Neill on YouTube, youtube.com/offtheball. Hit subscribe. You can leave a comment. Great to have you back, lad. I remember one of you, I think it was Jared, that advised Amber Springs for a family break. Indeed, it was me. I had a fantastic time at Amber Springs. The pictures keep coming back up in our Google Photos, and everybody was happy. Outside of the obvious centre parks, have you discovered any gems recently? We don't have a summer holiday booked this year, and it's getting a bit late.
I'm going to Amber Springs next month.
Ooh.
Are you?
Yeah. First time caller, long time listener, whatever the expression is.
Very good.
What
type of room are you getting?
I've no idea. I just, as we were chatting, I just looked down at my diary and it says Amber Springs, 2 days in April. So
there's a family room which are amazing, where you can kind of lock the kids away. They have bunk beds in an area that's separate, so you can still watch TV without having your own room. Because your kids are still too young to get their own room, obviously.
Yeah. Well, Not that I wouldn't be tempted, but yeah. Did we ever get any free shit out of Amber Springs, or should we just keep talking?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. I went to Amber Springs the week before COVID, so it's weird. It was, again, I would endorse everything Jer had said at the time about it being perfect for kids, and there's all sorts of stuff out the back that you can spend an afternoon doing. But my main problem is, now that I think about it, all I could think was, this was the week before COVID, and all these children were there running around and touching everything, and I just get the shivers thinking about that. But it's acceptable. Where were we recently? Bloomfield House, perfect for kids.
Where's
Similar
that?
thing. It's in Mullingar. We had a family event there recently, and nice big family rooms, swimming pool, all that jazz. Not mad expensive.
Was the question about hotels specifically?
Any hidden gems?
What age did they say their kids are? Didn't.
This is not a dating site. People don't like leave.
Too deep.
You know, ASL/whatever.
I found that like some of the somebody should
outside of the obvious centre parks. Have you discovered any gems recently?
Right. Well, it is. He probably
Family break.
Okay, that's not what I was going to talk about.
Well,
Somebody should write. I was just going to say, like, sometimes the most simple stuff, like hopping on the dart to go somewhere, just go anywhere. Like, it's certainly the ages that my kids are. That in itself, no matter if you didn't go anywhere, is unbelievable. Like, that's just the whole experience of it and the crack they knock out of it. And then if you can, like, throw in a trip to, where's the Seals hang out? Howth, is it? Wherever that.
There are some in Howth, yes.
Yeah, our Howth correspondent. Thank you, Dave.
Getting on the dart, that flies really until they're 4, possibly 5.
Okay.
At the absolute most.
So
if I told my 2, one of which is 6, what are we doing today? Or we're getting the dart, they'd just be laughing in my face.
Yeah, okay.
Like, okay, well, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here.
It's up there with going for a drive. What do we do today?
Yeah.
We go for a drive. Where?
Or we're going for a walk. Why are we going for a walk? Because it's nice out and 4 of us can get some fresh air. It'll only be 20 minutes. We're going around the block. Yeah, but we're just walking, right? Like, there won't be actually any activity. We're just going to walk. What's the point in that? We're not
We
going.
gave you ice cream afterwards.
Yeah, we went, whatever the last bank holiday was, we went out to Killiney Hill for a walk. And the second the word hill is mentioned, obviously there's sorry, what? How big is the hill? How long is this walk? What do we get? The first question always now is there a cafe? It's like, no, there's no cafe. No cafe.
We go on walks all the time and I love it. There's one out, again, look, it's all age dependent. There's one out opposite the Hellfire Club out in the Dublin Mountains, Massey Estate. I think it's only opened up in the last few years, but it's a brilliant walk around the woods. It's incredible. But yeah, like, I don't know. I'm totally deflated now if you're saying that the walks are off the table in a year or two.
But maybe your kids, listen, not all kids are the same, but
yeah,
listen,
you've got to get them into it.
They'll put up with it, but
got to get them into what you're walking.
Condition them to like expect this to be part of the job of being a kid, is that we're going to do this, and like I have friends whose kids go for hikes and don't moan.
No, that hike is different. No, that's different.
Me.
Hikes and walks are completely separate categories. A walk to them is us walking around our area for 20 minutes just to get them off the screens and to get some fresh air. In their eyes, it's utterly pointless. Zero sense of achievement or fulfillment come the end of it, unless we've
never done that.
An ice cream at the end. A hike is different. A hike can be billed as something exciting, as something difficult, as something, a bit of a challenge that they can brag to their mates about. Even just literally this morning, my wife said to the 6-year-old, we're going to climb a mountain on Friday. Now, it'll be a hill in South Dublin somewhere. But straight away, he was telling me about this mountain they were going to climb. He was asking me how many feet high. Is it as high as Mount Everest? How long might it take? Will it be cold? Will it be windy? Will there be sweets? It's just a entirely different experience. Once you brand it as a walk, you're done.
It's a marketing tool, basically. I think what we're talking about here is an approach to marketing. This is like training for the climbing of the mountain. Let's go out and do 20 minutes. High interval intensity training. Bike ski row.
And then when you walk around the block once, they're just looking at you going, you're a liar.
Why are you making me walk? I can't believe you making me walk. So
my feet are tired. You're a liar.
Going to a match, I have found to be brilliant. Any match. Amazing. Look, again, I'm sure somebody else will go, that's a nightmare. Everybody's experience is different, but we've had brilliant days out. We've gone. The first game I brought both of them to was a Leinster football quarter-final in Cusack Park in Mullingar last summer, and the place is in need of a revamp, to put it politically correctly. And it was fantastic, brilliant day out, like really sort of good atmosphere, championship match, and they got the pitch at half time, which was, I think they still talk about that. Like when we've been to Croke Park since, they're like, "Oh, cool, half time, can't wait." I'm like, "Oh, sorry about this, but that won't be happening." We've been to loads of games. I brought the 4-year-old. She is like on to me every week. What game can we go to? What game can we go to? Brought her to Ireland Fiji in the Novembers. Been to a few club matches, including that one, over the last few months as well. So they're just match mad, and like they're not watching the action and sort of following it all closely. In fact, I'm sure there are times where they're driving everybody else around them absolutely bonkers. But they've been brilliant, and they'll have their sweets and they'll have their chips.
I was going to ask you, what's your bribe? What's this?
Exactly, yeah. So there'll be a bag full of. I'll bring way more than I'll ever need, just in case of absolute emergency. There'll be jellies and chocolate and whatever else, and then we'll have chips there, and that'll be all part of the agreed package, the sweet that we get beforehand. And but they've been brilliant days out, and I think we bit off more than we could chew for the Leinster Club finals, where we went for half of the hurling match and the full football match, and that was probably just a bridge too far. It was just probably too long. Any rugby match, certainly soccer match, would certainly test that, because they're just so bloody long at the ages that ours are. But I'm definitely on that sort of train of what you were saying there, Jared, about like get them in the culture of doing it, and then that's just what we're doing, and it'll change over the years, I'm sure. But
yeah,
so far so good. Like,
what was the Ireland game where we scored the last minute winner, the 3-2?
Armenia.
Armenia. We went to the Armenia game, got the faces painted beforehand, loads of sweets. Left when it was 2-0. By the time we made it to the dart, it was 2-2. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, I had so I think I mentioned this maybe on the last episode. My very wise wife had made that point where I was getting annoyed about the amount of sweets and stuff that they were having at the match, and she was like, "Well, if this adds to the experience of they're desperate to go because it's part of the crack." So I've calmed down on that. They were very upset where we had sat through like a 0-0 draw, and then I wouldn't bring them to the Monday night game because it was an 8 o'clock kickoff. Like too late in a school night, and for all. That was an awkward conversation the next morning as to, so we've gone for 2 years and never seen a game like this. But I bring them constantly to matches. And again, as they get older, they get more and more into who's playing and know all the players, and brought them to the All-Irelands last year, which was, at the time, I was like, do you really deserve this? Do you really? Have you gone through the hard yards? They won't be getting tickets for the May All-Irelands, I can assure you that.
Well, they won't need them for a while.
It's up that
yeah. They'll be Dubs fans. Our last one. Does anybody want to talk about homework this week, or we can put a pin in that for next week? You mentioned 3 hours there, Nathan. It sounds like it's
Yeah, that's 3 hours.
Sorry, it's not 3 hours. It definitely. I don't know. My wife's a teacher, so I need to be careful of what I say. I know she's very much on the anti-homework bandwagon. I'm sort of undecided on it. It does feel that maybe doing some things after school are beneficial, and every child is in different circumstances, and maybe some kids need that little bit of focus. But definitely, as like my eldest in 5th class now, it does feel like there's a hell of a lot. I would say at least an hour, maybe heading towards an hour. At least an hour.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's just when they're doing, again, it goes back to what we're saying at the start of that rush in the evening of there's something on every single night of the week and we're never going to get back to that. And they're getting home. You're almost having to get on their back straight away of get this started, or else you won't have time to have your dinner and to get out and do this thing in the evening, it does feel that the stress of trying to get them doing it outweighs the benefits of what they're learning.
Is it that it takes an hour, and really if everybody was dialed in, it would only take 30 minutes? Or is there a full hour of homework?
There's certainly an element of that, Dave, and I think that implied in that is some level of performance coaching will help. But
but they are like, they're bloody tired. Like they're coming home after 5.5 hours of school, sitting down in the seat, and then you're kind of grab some tea quick, sit down again for another hour.
Like my
Again.
younger fella, I say to him so often, do you realize you would have been finished 10 minutes ago if it wasn't for all this bullshit? And they don't need to get that message. Like
They
all
don't.
the giving out and all the getting distracted by it because there's a blackbird that's just flown by the window, and I'm still like, this homework should not take this long. Just concentrate and you're done. Over.
I know, but it's obviously like you're banging your head against a brick wall. So that's the definition of insanity. I don't know what there was a meeting in school recently that I ended up going to like try and put my spake in for no homework. And so I think what's more than likely going to happen is that at the start of a 3-week period, there'll be a menu of stuff for kids to pick that they'll deliver over the next couple of weeks, and they'll do it at their pace. And so there'll be times when life is too busy for something to happen, and that's fine. Another thing that I was kind of unaware was homework is optional. Like,
Is it?
Optional in the
Like,
sense that, like, not
if you
really.
don't, well, I don't think anybody's going to
But
be
what's the
judging you.
punishment?
I think the exact. Well, so there's no punishment. Like that's the bit where, but if you're of the homework school and you want that to happen, then you can do it, and it'll be marked, and it'll be, obviously encouraged. But equally, you don't know what kids' backgrounds are, and there might be no facility for them to do that. So instead of there being punishment for that, it's like we need to accommodate those people. So it's really tricky. I personally don't think there should be that much asked of kids until they're in secondary school when it comes to this. Like, there's loads of time. Secondary school is grim. It's like a crazy points race from the second you get there to the second you leave. And that's enough time, I think, for them to be worried about that shit.
I find it useful when they're learning to read, getting to spend 15 minutes one-on-one with them. You get a real feel for where they are. So, I mean, the younger guy's he's doing amazing now. But there was a time a few months ago where I realized there were still 2 or 3 letters in the alphabet that he didn't recognize, and I was like, "Oh, we should be well past this." And that was just a little opportunity for me to zone in on something, and got that sorted. He's coming along brilliantly now with his reading, and I love seeing him sit down and read a book as well. They get these little small 10-page short stories in their bag. I assume it's from the local library or a library they have in the school, and they have to read it maybe 2 days in a row. And to sit there and watch him actually read a book is amazing. It's only 3 minutes it takes. But if there was no homework at all, I probably wouldn't get to see that. You would never really get a flavor outside of parent-teacher meetings as to where they were progress-wise.
And you wouldn't read with them apart from the fact that it's mandated by the
No,
school.
we do bedtime stories, obviously, but that, for the most part, that'd be me reading. Every few words, I'll point to a word and say, "What word is that?" or read that sentence. Or,
Yeah.
But
well, you cannot. There's definitely a way to incorporate both of those things. Like, and I mean, I should have said, I think that there'll always be a recommendation that you're reading with the kids as part of the homework syllabus that has been recommended by our school. Like, I definitely would have got the kids to read. So you just go back to books that are less interesting, they're more storybook pictures, and go, let's read this. And then they're reading that and they're like, wow, this is amazing, I can read this. And that kind of builds up that confidence. But I know, like, I see there was like loads of people in the room that I was in were all pro homework for those. Like, well, how am I supposed to know how they're getting on every day? And I'm like, well, just check, anyway.
Well, like, if you ask it a slightly different way, what would you learn less by doing less homework?
Apparently, Scandinavian countries are like, no homework, school's long enough, and they have no significant difference in outcomes when it comes to learning levels. They don't start school until 7 either. No significant difference in
and finish at what, 18?
Learning outcomes.
19.
I don't know if it's 18 or 19. I presume it's 18.
They don't get out of school till 24, but they seem to be a good grasp on things.
Well, I mean, is that a bad thing? Like,
but they are
16-year-olds
professionals in their classroom who are trained to spot if they have any learning difficulties. And I understand parents saying, well, how will I know if they're not up to scratch? Like, that is the teacher's job. Now, I know there's teachers of different quality, but the teacher should be able to spot very quickly if there's an issue and get the support for them.
Yeah. Well, there you
Dave,
go.
when you're telling your kids to stop looking at the blackbird going past the window, whatever it was, what's the response? When you say, "Oh, we could have been done 10 minutes ago,"
Up Blackbird.
what did he say?
Their response is just to focus again, but it only takes the next little distraction. Like I have to make sure the table around us is completely devoid of any objects that can be kicked, picked up, thrown, licked, broken, turned inside out, swallowed, held, touched. And then you get it done in 15 minutes. It really shouldn't, particularly senior infant theatre guys should only take 15 minutes max. The older guy, he has a very specific, as you said, the younger guy, Ger, has a suite of options that he can take. It's over a 2-week period, and you're supposed to do maybe 2 to 3 items a week. So, and then some words like their Dulce words and that kind of stuff have to be worked on every day. So it's no more than 10 or 15 minutes. The 8-year-old has a list of items he has to do every day, and they have it down at this stage. Like he gets in, he whips the book out. He has his maths, his reading, his spelling, and his writing done in 11 minutes, I'd say. He knows the deal. He's actually very clued in. If I concentrate on this in one go, I'm out the gap. And he looks over at his younger brother, who's like 2 years younger than him, is still doing his homework, and he's finished. Obviously, the 6-year-old doesn't take too kindly to that.
Right. Well, that's all. I think that sounds relatively progressive. Right, that's this week's episode. Dadcast@offtheball.com. Anything else I want to get off the chest?
All done.
What time are we? When's the live show begin, Dave?
It'll begin at about 1:45.
You bring the microphone with you, Dave.
Yeah, and the headphones and everything.
Yeah.
Seriously. There will be people scouring parks all over North Dublin now just to witness this.
And in doing so, who knows what else they might uncover.
Heyo. Dadcast is in partnership with Nivea Men. Want to feel great in your skin? Nivea Men has you covered. From sensitive, tailored skincare to cleansing and anti-age. Try Ireland's #1 men's skincare brand. See you next week, folks.